Changes are afoot at West Ham at the moment. There's plenty of it. We've talked about it more than enough about Declan, of course, which is the worst kept secret in football, heading to Arsenal. And that's obviously a big change for West Ham, losing a club captain and someone that's so influential and so loved. So that's a big, big change. But there's also been others. We're expecting a lot of personnel changes in terms of the playing squad. We're expecting some new players to be coming in. It looks like a new West Ham, doesn't it, going into this season? Albeit there are bits and pieces that are still a bit questionable. The manager's future still a bit uncertain with all this change. There's no two ways about it. It certainly doesn't feel as secure as it was a few weeks ago when we won the Conference League, which is strange considering we haven't played any football in that period. But you do get the feeling that David Moyes' position is a little bit fragile now with all the significant change around him, and where does he fit in all of this? But we don't want to talk about Moyes, actually. I want to talk about Mark Noble. So some very interesting news coming out about Noble from ex-WHU employee, and it's regarding his position and how that's now growing. If we take your mind back to last season, there was a time, and to be honest, I probably should have prepared this a bit better, but there was a period last season, a big strong rumour that Mark Noble had handed in his resignation in his first season as the sporting director, that he wanted to leave. I'll tell you when it was. I think it was around January time, because if I remember rightly, it was surrounding, I believe, the recruitment. I think possibly Danny Ings might have been the main culprit of that. Not saying it was his fault, of course, but I think Mark felt very much out of the loop, let's say, with the appointment, with the signing of Danny Ings. Don't get me wrong, I'm paraphrasing it. It could be slightly different here. It might not be quite correct exactly what I'm saying, but I'm getting where I'm going with this, and I'm convinced that is actually what happened. But the details might be a little bit flaky. However, that is basically what had materialised, that Mark felt a bit lost, I think, in his role. I think he felt that what X has reported, that he felt that he was being spread too thin across all departments around the club and was struggling to make an impact and struggling to find out where he was sitting. So what's come out of that? Well, I actually, when we reported on this last season around the January time, you can go back and find the video. I said at the time that I was convinced that although it had been resolved and the club had basically said, yeah, no, it's all fine. We've now Mark's back on board. This is what X had reported as well, that everything's been fine and Mark's got a key role to play. I didn't really buy it. I'll be honest. I felt it was a bit, the writing was on the wall. I thought, I bet he'll do the whole season, then he'll go in the summer. Well, actually, I'm actually proven wrong at this at this stage, because it appears, and I'm very pleased by this, by the way, that Mark Noble's role is actually very secure, more than secure. In fact, you'd say it's more secure than David Moyes'. And the reason I say that is because of two things. Firstly, Tim Steeton or Steidten, I really don't know. I'm saying Steeton at the moment, but I've been now told I think it's Steidten. I don't know. God knows. Please, someone help me out with this. But let's go with Steeton for now. So Tim Steeton's joined, and he is effectively, I mean, obviously it's a big coup coming in. He's coming in as the technical director, but he's going to effectively be overseeing Mark Noble. Mark Noble's going to be reporting to Steeton. And the reason for this as well, one is because we needed that role to be filled. That's not just the reason was purely for Mark Noble, but the basis of it as well is that apparently Mark Noble is going to be given the instruction to learn from Tim. He's going to be working closely with him, effectively training, learning the trade and learning how to get into that sort of level of Steeton, which I think is great. That is exactly what we want to hear, that Mark Noble, there's a bit of a plan for him. So I was really pleased about that. I mean, I was pleased about the Steeton appointment anyway. I think it's an exciting one. It's one that it sends the club into a direction of recruitment that we've been aching for, actually going to buy players for their, the credibility of the players, what they can actually offer a team, rather than just going for names all the time and not really focusing on what they can bring. Because how many times have we done that? Brought in players that just don't fit our system, don't fit the team. It's such a common theme at West Ham. So Steeton brings that air that, probably more often than not, the signings are going to work. They're going to be successful. Whereas it's always been a bit hit and miss with West Ham, hasn't it? So I'm really, really pleased about that. But the big news, I'll actually get to the point in a minute. The big news that's come out is that, and this is direct from ex-WHU employee, is that Mark Phillips, who was the assistant manager for the under-18s last season, very, very popular at the club, highly rated, highly regarded, is now going to be moved to being Mark Noble's assistant. I actually think that's amazing. I really do. Considering the fact, first of all, let's consider the fact of Mark Phillips. So he was the under-18s assistant. He apparently played a very pivotal role in that, very highly rated by the club for what he offers, which is great. And you consider what they made happen last season, the under-18s. I mean, they won their league in the Southern League, and then they won the FA Youth Cup as well. And obviously just missed out on the sort of the overall major trophy with is it Man City, wasn't it? Man City beat them. But apart from that, it was literally the only slight mark against them. Everything else was fantastic. And it was an outstanding season and something we're all, as West Ham fans, absolutely proud and love to see happen. And again, it brings some excitement. We've got some youth players coming through. You're thinking these could be Premier League footballers. And I'm confident we will see some of those players make the step up. And, Mabama next season could well be doing that. And I don't see why not. So having Mark Phillips now working with Noble, that is a really good step. And also, what does it say about Mark Noble? Where does it say about Mark Noble's power in this football club? It's clearly growing from someone that was walking out, someone that was fed up and didn't know really where they were sitting and felt a bit lost in the role. They've now got a mentor. They've got a new boss in Steedton. They've now got their own assistant in Mark Phillips, someone that's, Mark Noble knows very well, of course, but also is highly rated in the football club. I think that shows the club's view of Mark Noble. It shows that they actually believe that Mark Noble is going to be a success at West Ham, or they certainly are putting a lot of time and effort into that being the case. I think it's really, a really good thing. I'm really pleased with it, really pleased. Because as I say, I was quite sure when it was all kicking off in January, around that time, that Mark was on his way out. I just thought, even though they'd convinced him to stay, I thought, I bet he's one eye out the door now. He's looking for another role elsewhere, etc., which have been so devastating. And also, of course, he's now got, as I've said, Tim Steedton. That appointment alone excites me. But having the fact now you've got Mark Noble learning from him. Let's get this straight about Noble, okay? Mark Noble is a West Ham fan. He's a West Ham legend and knows the club inside out. He's a fan. Wants West Ham to do well. I'm not suggesting that anyone else in the club doesn't want the club to do well. Of course they do. But it's great to know you've got someone in a real senior role in the club that's influential and is now, and as a West Ham fan, he's one of us and wants us to do so well and only wants what's best for the football club. I just think it's a really, really good thing. And it clearly shows they've got big plans for Noble. There's a long-term vision at this football club, at last. It feels like we've got a bit of structure, a bit of a plan for the future. Steedton, Noble, Phillips, and all these things feel like a plan. We'll come to David Moyes in a minute, because where does he fit in all this? I'm not sure. But my final thoughts on it are, I only think, as I've said, I think it's only can be a good thing having Noble in that kind of role. I really do. As I say, he loves the football club. He's a fan of the football club. And I think that as fans ourselves, I think it gives you a bit of comfort, a bit of warmth, knowing you've got someone that's senior in that boardroom when it comes to recruitment, when it comes to, I know he's going to be quite focused on the academy. That's going to be Mark Noble's remit. But again, he's still got a big say in things across the board. And I think that's going to be very useful as a football club going forward. We've seen it with other clubs, actually, haven't we? How with players that have got a close bond to the club and then getting senior roles and what it can do. Van der Sar's done it with Ajax. We've seen it with, obviously, our thoughts go to him at the moment. He's obviously not well. Obviously, we hope that all goes well with what's going on with him at the moment. But you look at other clubs. Arsenal, Edu, got a big, strong bond with Arsenal, working with Arteta, big, strong bond with Arsenal. And you can see how now that's paying dividends. They've got people that really want to push the club on. You do get the feeling if it's sort of business-minded people, they probably got one eye on the numbers more, rather than thinking, we really want to push West Ham on, we really want to challenge. They're probably thinking, well, can we afford it? Well, we'll just try. Whereas I think if you've got someone like Noble in, they'll just be going, no, let's put the success first. We want to do well. So I'm really, really pleased with it. And I will say, this is another point I really wanted to make. I don't think it's a coincidence of all these changes, all this sort of, let's call it a more slick and more professional approach from West Ham is suddenly occurring since we've had Mark Noble in the role. I don't think that's a coincidence, I really don't. I think Mark's walked into this, I've got to use the word correctly. Let's call it the football club, walked into the club in that role and probably thought, this is not running right. I'm convinced Steedton is a Mark Noble driven appointment. I really am. I believe that he would have wanted this because I actually did a video about the Steedton appointment, and I did find it strange. I think I worded it saying that I found it strange that David Sullivan was making this appointment, because it was against David Sullivan's usual personality and how he usually does things. David Sullivan's, as we know, is a massive control freak. He wants to be involved in everything. He wants the final say in everything. I think if he could pick the team, he would. So the fact he hired Steedton confused me. I thought, and it actually led me to believe maybe he's selling the club, and I still believe that is the case. At some stage, it's going to be happening. But the more I then think about it, and I actually spoke about this with Gonzo from Hammers Chat when I was on the he was on this channel. You can go back and see that video. It's very good chat with him. And he was the one that brought that up, and he felt that Mark Noble this was Mark Noble driven, and I didn't really think of that before. But I've really that has really led me to believe that is true. Actually, I think that Mark Noble is actually driving a lot of this professional, forward-thinking nature of West Ham all of a sudden, and I really like it. I really do. And the fact now he's getting the backing, he's getting his own assistant in Phillips, makes you think, do you know what? I think the future's looking good at the moment. I really do. Really, really do. We're going in the right direction, and we're looking more like a professional Premier League outfit, which I really like. But then there's also, both the last part of my video here is David Moyes. Where does he sit in all of this? Because that is one that you can definitely say, like a Sullivan, likes to have control. That is a manager. That is not a coach. That's a manager. He likes to recruit. He likes to be involved in everything. We've seen it. Mark Warburton had the interview on Hammers Chat, and he said that he basically had to leave West Ham to save his friendship with Moyes, because they just didn't see eye to eye professionally. And we've seen it with other coaches. We talked about it in another video, the exodus at West Ham at the moment with coaches. So it shows the stubbornness of Moyes, that he's hard to work with. Now, you wonder, where does he sit now? You've got Noble, that's obviously got a big voice. You've got Steedton, who's got a bigger voice. Mark Noble's now got his own assistant, so his power is, without a doubt, growing at West Ham. You've got to question where David Moyes sits in this now. I still stand by that I said in the previous video. I think that his position is becoming very vulnerable, because it's basically going along the lines of, well, you play ball or you're out. But i.e., we're in charge of the transfers. I mean, I know they're saying there's a team, Moyes always get the final say, but you wonder how long that's going to last. Is that a viable option? I hope it is. I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying I want it to fail once David Moyes gone. I'd rather see it work. I'd rather see Moyes be open-minded and accept this. But, knowing David Moyes as we know him as West Ham manager, and what we've experienced so far with him, he is stubborn, very set in his ways. And you do think, well, is he gonna take to all of this? Don't know. Well, there's going to be plenty more to discuss about this. But look, I'm excited about the Mark Noble situation. I'm excited the fact we've got pre-season kicking off tonight, and I think that's going to be good. We all miss football, don't we, when it's not playing. It's nice sometimes to have a little bit of a breather, especially when you've had a long slog of a season. But I miss it. I'm looking forward to the season kicking off. So it's nice to see the players back in action tonight. Boreham Wood, of course, away. We're kicking off at 7 p.m. I don't think there's any way you're watching it apart from, I think you can get some live stream updates. We're not, unfortunately, going to be showing it on the channel. But yeah, we'll be keeping, obviously, an eye and do a chat about it afterwards, which will be tomorrow. It's quite an interesting one. And of course, the kit. West Ham are wearing the new home kit. And of course, if you want a free copy of the kit, if you'd like, copy of the kit, you want a copy, you want the kit as a prize. You want the kit. So if you want to, then go to the previous video, which is where we're giving one away to a subscriber. So all you need to do to subscribe, put a comment in, and you're in the running for the kit. And we're going to be doing it every month for the whole season, giving away a West Ham kit, home, away, third kit, whatever you want, whatever your size, whatever you fancy. If you win, just let us know and we'll get it sent to your door. So, yeah, do check it out. But, yeah, Mark Noble, I'm really pleased to hear that and see the influence he's having at this football club.